Do, 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 do. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Trump is alive. Oh yeah.
Just moments ago, new attacks on Chicago from President Trump and a new promise to impose federal law enforcement to fight crime on the ground. He said, quote, Chicago is the worst and most
To impose martial law.
dangerous city in the world by far. He added, I will solve the crime problem fast, just like I did in D.C. Chicago will be safe again and soon. Now, we should note,
I saw that Mayor Bowser of D.C. fully welcomed Trump's National Guard troops. Is she even gonna run again for re-election? I feel like she just doesn't care at all. The fact she's reinforcing Trump's actions here is kind of wild. But I mean, oh god, it's crazy. Yeah, Bowser said she welcomes. She said she welcomes Trump's use of the National Guard. Interesting.
that Chicago does not rank in the FBI's top 10 list of the most violent cities in the United States. And you will see Memphis, Nashville, Kansas City there. Those are all cities. Houston, in states with Republican governors. And the president not threatening to send in the National Guard to those cities. Now,
True.
having said Chicago's
Why
not in
not?
the top 10, it was a violent weekend there. At least 56 people shot, 7 people killed. Chicago's violent.
Now, this is something where ABC ran this as well. Like, there's going to be violence places. It's not good. I will say, by far, the most amounts of murders are going to be between people who know each other. It's not like if you go to Chicago, you are randomly going to be in danger. I mean, it's possible. Everything's possible. It's possible to be in danger anywhere. But them spreading these stats is insane. Because it's not a conversation about law enforcement. You can talk about policing or talk about whatever you want to do about crime. None of that includes sending in the damn military without the wishes of the local government, state government, or anyone. The conversation is authoritarian federal government powers. It's nothing about crime itself. And there's a reason Trump is not sending these, not sending this over to, They're not sending the troops over to red states that have higher crime rates.
The crime
It's all
rate, though,
political.
is dropping. So it is that complicated picture. Let's get right to CNN's Elena Treen at the White House for the latest on what the president's saying. Good morning, Elena.
Good morning, John. And look, I mean, it's clear, very clear from if you've been following what the president has been saying over the last week or so and what he's been posting, a couple posts this morning included, he is really fixated on Chicago right now. And what we did, what we're learning is, one, my colleagues and I broke the news last week that they are planning a major surge in federal law enforcement officials, specifically immigration related officials. That includes ICE and Customs and Border Patrol and other agencies to Chicago to deal with immigration. But all of that coming as the president continues to argue that he wants to try and do what he is doing here in Washington, D.C., in Chicago as well. Now, I do want to be clear in my conversations with White House.
Yeah, and I know Teresa in chat mentioned there's a law in D.C. for the federal district to be controlled by the president and guard and Secretary of Defense and all that kind of stuff, and for the police to be federalized in D.C. only. There's only a law in D.C. for that. But still, the D.C. mayor welcoming it with open arms, smiling in the Oval Office is crazy.
Officials, they've told me that the operation we're likely to see begin this week, we're told it's expected to begin on Friday, is really going to be immigration focused. That's about it. It is not about domestic crime like it is here in D.C. They still have to work out some of the details of that because, again, Chicago is in a state of Illinois. They have a governor, not really the case here in D.C. And so there's some legal questions about what the president and this administration is actually able to do. But as part of this immigration push, we're told it's similar to what we saw happen in L.A. earlier this year. We are also seeing National Guard troops kind of being put on standby and being prepared to
when the National Guard were sleeping on the floor in LA because they weren't needed and there was no resources. But you see how they frame it. This framing here by CNN, and the Republicans think CNN is biased towards super far left, but they're framing this in a way that sounds good for Trump almost.
Sent to Chicago to help with that. And so all of this coming as the president, as you said it, is posting again this morning saying essentially that Chicago is the worst and most dangerous city in the world, calling out the Illinois governor, J.B. Pritzker, specifically saying that he needs help badly. He just doesn't know it yet. I mean, he is clearly escalating his rhetoric on Chicago and making very clear what he wants to do there, which is exactly what he's doing here in D.C. It's just a question or not of whether he can actually get to, send the type of federal law enforcement agents there that he has done in this city.
Based on your reporting, we should start to see some of it by the end of the week. Elena Trian at the White House, thank you very much.
Someone said, who did no cash bail? Anyone who thinks no cash bail leads to higher crime, they probably gulp down a jar of paint, acrylic paint. They eat paint chips off the wall. They use paint chips off the wall. They get the paint chips and they dip it in the other paint as like a salsa and eat it every single night because they're so brain dead and stupid. That was dumb. I'm tired. It doesn't matter. The no cash bail is literally just saying if you are poor, you should also be able to go out on bail. It should not only be if you're rich and you can afford it. It's not fair that a rich person can just pay bail and post bail with no issues, but a poor person can't. It's efficient as well. It's more efficient. It's cost saving because you don't need to have a system where you have a bail calculated and collected. I'm tired. Calculated and collected and all that kind of stuff. No cash bail has no effect on crime at all. No effect at all, really. It's efficient. It's good. But if someone's crime is so serious that they are expected to be a public safety threat, they would not have access to bail regardless. Being poor should not be a crime.
Joining us right now to talk about this is the Lieutenant Governor of Illinois, Juliana Stratton. She's also running for the U.S. Senate seat that Dick Durbin will be vacating. Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for being here. I want to read, just because the president is speaking out about this on social media just this morning. Here's what he said to get you to respond. At least 54 people were shot in Chicago over the weekend. 8 people were killed. The last 2 weekends were similar. Chicago is the worst and most dangerous city in the world by far.
You could just say
the
lies.
Writes this morning.
Someone said illegal aliens have an effect on crime. Yeah, they lower the violent crime rate.
Pritzker needs help badly. He just doesn't know it yet. I will solve the crime problem fast, just like I did in D.C. Chicago will be safe again and soon. But John did point out, so did Elena Trian, Chicago's not in the top 20 of cities when it comes to FBI crime stats on violent crime, and not in the top 10 when...
Yeah, true, Teresa. If someone's known to be someone who reoffends the moment they leave, that's someone who would probably be denied bail.
You talk about overall crime rates. So facts and data are critical. But if, Lieutenant Governor, the president is saying that this morning, what do you think is going to happen?
The Epstein files.
Well, first of all, let me just say that Donald Trump is not focused on public safety. Look, anytime that there's crime anywhere in our state or around the country, we want to continue to see progress being made, and we are making progress here in Illinois and in the city of Chicago. But this is not about public safety, and this is not about making our residents safer. What Donald Trump wants to happen is he wants to manufacture a crisis. He's going to, as we just talked about, there's going to be a surge of ICE enforcement efforts. He knows that people will see those efforts and then want to speak out. People, good, decent people, will be heartbroken to see their neighbors being snatched off the streets and stuffed into unmarked cars. He wants to inflame tensions, and he wants to make sure that that he can cause some sort of crisis, that he can say that he's coming to the rescue. And what we know is that we are going to follow the law here in Illinois. We are going to do everything we can to protect our residents.
Yeah, it's typical. It's a typical response here.
To education, but he's dismantling the Department of Education.
Yeah, she's running for a U.S. Senate, so.
Long-term, people will say.
Chicago leaders push back as Trump threatens crime crackdown. It's just like that framing alone, all right? The debate right now is over sending in the military as an authoritarian force from the federal government, okay? It's not about a crime crackdown. None of this is about crime at all. And Trump has pretty much admit that much. It's not about crime. But CNN, the far left outlet, is going to advertise it in the exact way Trump wants them to. Because they're either stupid or complicit. I don't know which one. I really don't know which one. It's hard to say. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate it. We got 10 likes. Give me more likes. Get me more likes, okay? Become a patron to the channel. Help support independent media. Donate to Drilla Politics and Cash App, PayPal, and Venmo. Nice. Complicit in some way. They're complicit in ratings, if anything. At the very least, they're complicit in ratings. They want to get ratings. Pritzker. Obama. Mike Johnson. I've Had It podcast. What else do we got? Oh, someone called me. I'll call them back. Oh, never mind. No. Nuh-uh. Too bad you have no caller ID, so I don't know who you are. Charlie Kirk is awesome, dude. What's Charlie Kirk up to recently? What is Charlie Kirk? The Wokies. Nice. Do we need a
Patriot Bubble stands for faith, family, and freedom. But did you know?
The ultimate birthright debate. Is it gonna wait? Charlie Kirk, DEI is a sin. It's a sin.
America's small businesses rely on TikTok.
Jesus doesn't like diversity, equity, and inclusion. Ruh-roh.
Or at TikTokeconomicimpact.com.
Don't you love all the MAGA influencers doing propaganda for TikTok? Since Trump is illegally keeping it open. Which, by the way, keep it open, Trump. They pay me. Keep it open. Who cares about the laws? Those pesky little laws. Who cares about them?
Okay. Hi, how are you? So, my name is Talise. I'm originally from Washington, D.C. I'm technically a Democrat, but I have very conservative views because I'm faith-based all the way. So, I have a question, which is also
Why are you a Democrat then?
But I want to build it up, okay?
Be conservative.
So, of course, you just said Jesus
Be
is
consistent.
the most important thing for everyone out here. And so, can you please explain to everyone out here what Jesus stood for, and especially the qualities of love, how to love your neighbor.
being a servant to God,
Then if they don't agree
sacrifice.
So what is your name again?
Talise.
Talise, that's a beautiful question. I'm glad you came up to ask it. But I want to also just add something, because you're right. Jesus fully embodied two things simultaneously that showed his divine and his godly nature, because not that Jesus said good things. Jesus is Lord, Christ is King, and Jesus is God, on top of just being a guy with a lot of good ideas.
Yeah.
So John 8, if I'm drawing from memory correctly, best embodies both Christ's mercy and love, but also his commitment to truth. And sometimes in the modern gospel, we overemphasize the grace and we underemphasize the truth.
Yeah.
And so we are far too willing to say, hey, Jesus loves everybody, but we don't get to the second part of the conversation that says Jesus doesn't want you to live in sin. So this is, in John 8, it's best embodied, right? Almost every Christian in this audience will be able to tell you the first part of this, which is a bunch of Sadducees and Pharisees who are standing around with rocks, and they're about to stone the prostitute woman. And Jesus comes up and says, let the first among you without sin cast the first stone. And everyone starts dropping the rocks. But what comes next shows that Christ is not just grace-focused, he's simultaneously truth-focused. He goes up to the woman who had a career in selling herself for sex and said, sin no more. Now, imagine today how much trouble you would get in if you would go up to somebody and say, stop sinning. You're being too judgmental. No, you're actually being Christ.
Probably everyone that would do that is a huge hypocrite. First off, every person I know that talks about other sinning as an attack, that person is always a hypocrite, and they are projecting. But also, it's not your job to judge what is a sin or is not a sin. Many things that Charlie Kirk calls a sin, Jesus himself did not refer to as a sin. It was written randomly, with no association to Jesus, about like gay people or about a man laying with a man. The idea that anything about gay people or whatever should be anywhere near the top of your focus as a Christian is insane.
So Jesus stood, he was 100% grace and truth, and that tension is very hard in a modern world, because we want to overemphasize grace when in reality Christ loves us too much to have us continue to live in sin. He wants us to try to elevate our actions to glorify God in all that we do.
I agree 100%. And so to build on my question, I really want to talk about DEI. And so with our Christian, I will agree with you I read the Bible for myself, so I knew what that scripture said. But my question is, how can Christian teachings on love, equity, and justice inform and shape discussions on diversity, equity, and inclusion in today's society? And so Jesus hung out with sinners. He did not judge. He told the truth. And so I think that a lot of people...
Do you see Charlie Kirk's body language, by the way? His body language is like, thank you so much for the conversation. This is amazing. You're willing to talk about this. I really appreciate it. He's putting the microphone down. He's using active listening. He's shaking his head. He's looking very attentively.
In society today, when we talk about political views that are opposition, we judge them because we think, oh, because you voted for Trump, you agree on everything, when that's not the case, right? And I want you to talk about that. Also
Very good.
DEI.
So and then I'll connect it to DEI, and I'm going to make a case. I don't know if it'll be persuasive to you, why I think DEI is unbiblical, and I'm going to try to make that case, okay? Yeah. But first, let me talk.
Now remember, Charlie Kirk says that Somalis in America are going to collapse Western civilization because of their savage culture. So would Jesus ever say something like that about another group of people, especially when there's no reason to believe that about them whatsoever, against all fact and logic? Would Jesus call Somalis in America? By the way, the shooter in Minnesota, I know they were trans or detransitioning, but they used the hatred of Somalis in Minnesota and immigrants, and their anti-Semitic comments and their anti-black comments. Those beliefs were at the pinnacle of their radical ideology. They believed many things Charlie Kirk believed. Now, you can say, oh, they're trans, but that doesn't matter nearly as much as the belief that they carry. The beliefs were more Charlie Kirk. So remember, Charlie Kirk says that kind of stuff before he goes on this tirade.
Let me comment on your astute point, which is that Christ wants us to be around people that are not like us. This is why I go to college campuses, but more and more I go to college campuses and I'm getting a lot of big crowds. So it's kind of unusual. I used to go here and get heckled and have very small crowds. But let me demonstrate this in an unusual way. Almost every person in this audience would say Christ wants us to be salt and light. Now, what are the two characteristics of salt and light? They change the environments that they come in contact with. Yes. They do not affirm. They do not conform. They change for the better. That's very important, everybody. We as Christians are called to change the environment that we come in touch with. Now, as far as DEI and why I believe it's unbiblical, now I'm going to go down to just the academic textbook definition of DEI. Okay. You might have a different idea of what DEI is. You might have a different perspective. I'm willing to hear that. But the actual textbook definition, as authored by people like Kimberly Crenshaw and Derek Bell, as it came out of critical theory, is essentially this, is that instead of having a
instead of merit, we're going to let these dumb blacks get positions that they don't deserve because they're black. All right? That's what it means.
Goal of race blindness. They
race blindness.
Want a goal of race obsession and race consciousness. Obsession. That we should talk about race more, not less. I believe the scriptures tell us firmly in many different verses that I could quote, but one in particular, when the Apostle Paul wrote, he said, neither slave nor Greek nor Jew, but we are all one in Christ Jesus. Essentially stating that racial differences are indifferent, or mean nothing to the Almighty God. All that matters to God is not black or white or Republican or Democrat. It's saved or unsaved are the only things that matter to Christ Jesus. So therefore...
And by the way, in Charlie Kirk's vision of the world, you should be dominating people and spreading the Bible, and your nation should be represented by that religion in a fundamentalist level or capacity. Charlie Kirk does not believe you need to actually do anything to get to heaven or whatever. So like the Catholics say you need to do the works. Some other denominations say you must do certain things to live in a way that, you know, Jesus gave an example of how to live in a biblical way. And then like some people just believe that you need to be a servant to God and bow at God's feet and be willing to sacrifice yourself for God. And if you do that, if you worship God, that's all it takes. God is just someone who wants your adoration, your respect. God wants you to fully believe in God. And doesn't really care how much you treat or how bad you treat the earth or other people. That's how Charlie Kirk can want to abuse immigrants, and also he wants to set the planet on fire because he doesn't care about those two things in his Christianity.
And let me finish the point. What DEI does through hiring practices, racial quotas, and many other different ways that I could list is that it has an emphasis on things that the Bible does not categorize as important. In fact, it says the exact opposite, that we should only care about character and the soul of an individual, not the melanin content in their skin.
So I agree. Well, I actually don't agree, because in Acts 2, it talks about how when the Holy Spirit came upon the apostles and when the Holy Spirit came into the region, that a lot of people who spoke different tongues, that they could understand each other. And I think when we talk about the Bible and we talk about the spread of the gospel, you see that these people are going to different regions, not only learning about their culture, but adapting so that they could, again, spread the gospel. And
now, adapting to new cultures. But what Charlie Kirk said about
who spoke
an individual, not the
about the content of them, not their skin color. In America, our government decided for hundreds of years black people were not human beings. We bred black people like cattle. We put cages on black people's faces so they couldn't eat. We had them in chains, being just animals and in fields. And then we barely gave a compromise to have them be represented for the white vote through the 3/5 compromise. Then we had a bunch of other shit happen, wars. Then after the wars, Reconstruction. Then we had the Jim Crow. We had all of it. We had redlining. We had war on drugs. We had all these things that were based on their skin color. So today, when there's excesses of that, when there's issues in the black community stemming from what the American government did to people with black skin in America, especially African Americans, which are tied back to from slaves, descendants of slaves, or whatever, foundational black American, whatever phrase you use. You need to do something to make up for the mistakes of the past. Just simply taking away these policies is not going to help fully. To fully heal what's happening. The reason black people in America have a lower net worth is not because of a personal failing. It's not because of a lower IQ. It's because the American government held black people back for generations. So something like generational wealth for a black person is almost impossible to have. Now it's getting more likely that that's a thing, that it can be a thing. But when we talk about DEI and we talk about disadvantaged communities, it's usually because the government was racist first, and we say, oh, well, maybe we need to do reverse racism to help fix it. Now, there's debates on that. You can disagree with it or agree with it, but at least don't, at least show what the argument actually means. If you're going to act like it's stupid, at least be able to argue against it.
To different regions, not only learning about their culture, but adapting so that they could, again, spread the gospel. And I think that it's important. And I think people get confused that DEI is only about race. It's about learning somebody's background. I'm not from a state.
I got the poor white DEI, baby.
From a territory. DC is not a state. However, DC is majority black. But black experience in DC is completely different from black experience in the South. So if you're going to stereotype a black person, you can't, because black people, I would say people everywhere, a white person from the North is different from a white person from the South. So it's about talking to people and learning different perspectives.
No,
and I think
all white people
DEI
are the same, obviously. Duh.
Okay, so I don't want to debate it too much.
Duh.
I will say that.
But that was my perspective.
Fine, and I'm happy to send you a lot more literature to look at it. What DEI means in practice is the vehement hostile treatment of white straight men to no longer be in institutions. And
yes, that's what DEI means, is mistreating white men. Yes, when we said that having black people as slaves and without rights for generations, when we said that was a bad thing and we need to do stuff to help reverse that discrimination, what we actually mean was we have to torture white people and kill white people. Yes, Charlie Kirk, that is 100% what DEI means. Yes, thank you for giving an accurate representation of what DEI aims to do. It's not about helping anyone. You know, who cares about those historic reasons for black trauma and black issues? Who cares? It's all about attacking the white man. Talk about a victim complex. God, everyone's such a beta bitch, dude. It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
Be actively discriminated
against. It's about attacking white men.
You don't have to agree on that, but that's what it looks like in practice. Is that, and I will prove this.
Yeah, I know your feelings are hurt. Yeah, I get it.
To prove this in the best
My
way
feelings are hurt sometimes too.
I don't know if this is going to work or not, but do you think Friedrich Nietzsche used to say that every society has a central piety that you cannot touch, something you're not allowed to make fun of? Are you allowed to make fun of white men or black people more easily in America?
You shouldn't do either.
Which one will get you fired?
Making fun of a black man.
Okay, so, but what if you make fun of a white person? Will that get you fired?
I have been in progressive workplaces where jokes are made about black people or about white people, all right? But the jokes are not racist. They are playing on stereotypes. They are funny. If you say something racist, it's going to be an issue. And this is not every single workplace. I know this is the fever dream of you're on a liberal college campus and you say a joke and all the wokies come and kill you. But that's not how the real world functions, okay?
It could get you fired too.
Probably not. Actually, it'll probably get you a professorship at your local university.
Yes.
You know I'm being sarcastic.
Yeah, I know.
What I'm getting at is that the influence of DEI have actually inverted the piety away from the promise of what MLK said, which was race blindness, towards race obsession. What you are talking about is very admirable, which is understanding
race
people's
obsession.
backgrounds. We're just going to not...
The race obsession came from the American government ran by the white man. All right, that's where the race obsession came in. All we're doing right now is identifying the problem they created and trying to help the people who were hurt by the American government. But all you big government cucks don't give a shit.
I'm not even disagree. I don't necessarily have time to build out what DEI has meant in practice. And what the problem with DEI is it's taken a lot of well-meaning people like you and then taken you along to support it, when in practice it's something completely and totally different.
Always
but here's something
gaslighting.
I will encourage you to do as a Christian. Care less about people's shared racial experience and look.
She didn't say shared racial. Like, there's other things with culture and experience and background and class that matters. It's not just a shared racial experience. She literally said that, like, black people in different demographics or different areas or geographic locations are going to be different. Like, she didn't say oh God, it's so crazy.
Get them instead of just as their soul as God made them. We should try to strive toward.
Oh, as God made them. So what about when what the Mormons say about black people, that they're cursed, so their skin's black? Or if you're gay, God cursed you and made you gay. Or if you're not religious, God cursed you and made you not religious. I would love to have a talk with Charlie Kirk about Christianity. It'd be funny. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for all the comments asking if I'm Jewish. I know the far right in America really hates the Jews. I hope you get over that. just because I have a big nose doesn't mean I'm Jewish. But please donate money to me. Please donate money. Draw Up Politics, Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo. Really appreciate it. Help my channel. Help independent media. And become a patron. I need patrons. It really helps me continue my channel. No matter how ad revenue looks on my channel, it helps me do this every night, or most nights, or some nights. The more patrons I have, the more often I'm allowed to stream. The more often I can stream. The more often I have time to. So yeah, I really appreciate it. Wait, did I get more active members tonight? Like paid members? Active members. Okay, never mind. Well, thank you guys. Thank you. Who's this person?
Call from.
Hello?
Hey, it's Mika. How you doing, brother?
I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm sorry. We're broken up. I'm sorry, brother. I really do apologize. I can't do it. I'm tired.
Alright, well, I'm not gonna leave you 3 messages. So, hit me up, baby. Call this number, call that number I called you with.
You have an unknown phone number. How can I call you back if you have no caller ID? Wait a second. Full interview with Epstein
Tonight,
survivors?
as you can see, just really within the last couple of hours, I sat down.
Wait, I'm gonna have to watch that.
Call from.
Hello? Hello? All right. Interesting. So Epstein survivors speak with NBC News.
Exclusively with the biggest group of survivors and their family members brought together at the same time. Some of these people had never met.
Thomas Massey is trying to have like a public event with them speaking and I guess testifying. I'm not sure if you would use that word for this, but doing like an event tomorrow, I'm pretty sure, on the 3rd. And Trump and Republicans are trying to block it. They're trying to put a muzzle on the Epstein victims. They need more time to scrub Trump's name from the files.
Each other before, including a woman who has never before come forward to share her story about the abuse she says she faced at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein.
Thank you for $2, Corey. Charlie Kirk, 100% gay, right? Usually. There's many such cases.
I want to play for you now my conversation with these individuals you're hearing for the very first time right here on NBC News Now. A show of hands here. If you or somebody you love was abused or trafficked by Jeffrey Epstein or Ghislaine Maxwell. All of you. So given that.
Donald Trump said it's a hoax.
You are here together. The 9 of you in this room, in this, what feels like a show of solidarity. Why? Why did you decide to come here today? Jess.
I'm coming here because there's been a severe miscarriage of justice, a delay in accountability, and we've all come together beautifully and tragically, which feels healing and devastating all at the same time, to speak out and to be fueled by each other's voices in a way that I don't know that we've had the opportunity to in the past.
Beautifully said. Yeah.
If Jeffrey Epstein had a podcast, do you think he'd be on Joe Rogan right now? Would Jeffrey Epstein be on Joe Rogan right now talking about how he's really innocent, and Joe Rogan would be like, yeah, dude, like the deep state, just like they're so corrupt, and like the Democrats, and like I'm just happy that like people like you are able to speak out before like all the Me Too stuff can cancel you, dude. Like I guarantee you Epstein would be a rock star if he had a podcast at least.
I'm here for the same reasons, but for me,
For
the
the
most
right
important
way.
thing is accountability.
Just like Andrew Tate.
My
and
whole
Trump.
mission is to get somebody,
And Conor McGregor.
or the majority of the people, to be held accountable for what they did and what we've all been suffering through for the last, 15, 20 years.
Marika, you're somebody who has spoken publicly about your experience before. What does it mean to you to be sitting alongside 8 other people in telling your story and in being here?
Today, I didn't think I would be here 6 years later from when I was here in 2019.
I'm sorry. They went through a lot. That's a little boring though. A little boring.
You know, Patriot bubble stand.
I could watch more Charlie Kirk. Oh, Charlie Kirk talked about the Minneapolis. He talked about the Minneapolis shooter.
So this morning, we don't have much to say, but I will say a little bit. First of all,
thank you so much for $5. Thank you so much for $5, MP. Thank you so much. On Cash App. This is Charlie Kirk talking about the shooting that happened in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. Now, the shooter ended up being trans. Now, they also were a Nazi who hated the Somalis who were infesting their community, and also the immigrants and the black people and the Jewish people. They hated all of these groups. They had a very far right-wing ideology, but they were trans, okay, or detransitioning, whatever it might be. But knowing they're a Nazi and they're a part of an internet forum that is known for violent acts and violent rhetoric, Charlie Kirk sees all this information and says, you know what, is it the Nazi part? Is it the part where they hate Jewish people and they hate black people and they hate immigrants? Which, by the way, Charlie Kirk shares the hatred for Somalis in Minnesota and Minneapolis. Charlie Kirk agrees on that. Are those points key here in what happened? Charlie Kirk said, no, it's because they're trans, of course.
It's just a horrific situation. Minneapolis Police Department say the Annunciation Catholic school shooter was contained and is no longer an active threat to the community. The FBI is also on the scene. Witnesses heard a tremendous amount of gunfire. The school includes children to 8th grade and mass held every Wednesday morning. This is the first week of school. Pray for all those involved. There's a lot that we need to learn about this. This is demonic. There is no other word for it. And
demonic. I wonder
to target
if he's
a church,
go
to target mass,
away.
And to go kill children. I mean, that is as as dark
reaction.
and as evil and as satanic as you could possibly capture and imagine. And that is nihilism in its purest form.
Nihilism. Okay.
Children were praying and taking mass, and this guy goes and just starts.
It's not nihilism, by the way. It's not nihilism.
So this morning, we don't have much to say, but I will say a little bit. First,
1 second.
The place that he belongs.
Wait.
And I will say, from my theological view, we know where he is, and he is in the place that he belongs.
It's painful. It's painful. If you are religious and someone passes away and you're like, I know it gives you peace of mind that they're somewhere better now. You say they are where they belong, but doesn't that give a really weird sensation to people where it's like they don't, by their logic, your death doesn't matter because you'll be in the place you belong. By that, like, what is the typical reading of that? What is the purpose of staying alive as long as possible? Why would you not go to God sooner? Why do we want to live forever? If you're happy for heaven and you're excited for heaven, why do people pay so much money to live longer? And why do they want to live and have immortality on earth?
From outside the building, he just sprayed through the windows, and he obviously ended up killing himself. A couple kids have died, and probably, we do not know the tally as it's coming through. 2 kids are still in critical condition, and he took his own life. No, it's a terrible situation. I wish I had more commentary to say here. And 5 are still in the hospital right now, and so those are the ones that you should be praying for. So a bunch of 8, 9, and 10-year-olds go to mass, and they are greeted with gunfire.
Yeah, it's really
had a
sad.
rifle, a shotgun, and parents are, and you don't believe in eternal punishment. I can see why that would be unsettling. It's still obviously incredibly unsettling for us, which obviously is going to start. We don't even want to, it's just like, it's too soon to get into that. We would have a lot less gun crime with universal stop and frisk and mandatory 25-year prison sentences for any felon caught possessing an illegal gun.
Wait. Okay, so only felons can go to jail, and we need universal stop and frisk? Out of every gun policy in the world, with universal background checks, even a assault weapons ban, a universal stop and frisk seems kind of...
The Democrats are now going to roll out their usual talking points. We're going to have to respond. And it's too bad, but because of the sickness and the demonic nature that has infected our nation, churches, synagogues, and schools.
Someone said, stick to Grindr. You're probably a great power bottom. It's crazy how there's so many gay MAGA supporters. There's so many gay MAGA supporters who are punching the closet door every day, going, and they can't break out.
All need armed guards. That's the country we're living in, is that churches, synagogues, and schools, anywhere there's places of value, you need armed guards. I know that some people don't like that. They say,
yes, everywhere in America needs armed guards.
I don't know. So you got to protect what you love. I mean, we have armed guards at sporting events. I just went to the Arizona Diamondbacks game and the Chicago Cubs game. There were armed guards everywhere.
Just say
in some ways, it's a tough kind of pill to stomach. It's a tough truth to have to endure.
Okay, does he talk about the trans topic here?
Is the direction that we are going. Play cut 387.
2 young children, ages.
Where does he? Maybe he didn't talk about that yet. Okay, so I do what I said before about the trans. Oh wait, here you go. Crap, I didn't see this. I should have seen this earlier. Trans shooter plus anti-Christian hate crime.
Welcome back, everybody. Email us as always, freedom@charliekirk.com, and subscribe to our podcast. That is the Charlie Kirk Show podcast page. We have a great guest right now and a wonderful friend, Michael Knowles. Michael Knowles.
Speaking of gay men.
Michael, it is a very disturbing day here as we learn of what has happened in Minneapolis. People are saying it's confirmed, and I think that's right, of the Catholic school shooter is transgender, which does matter, by the way, as we're talking about the broader policy implications of this. Michael, you...
98% of mass shooters are white men. Does that matter? I would never say something so stupid. I'd probably say the shooter was a Nazi.
Would you lean...
Who talked about mass immigration destroying America, which is something Charlie Kirk agrees with. But of course, he'll focus... Oh yeah, by the way, talk about being gay. I don't know what I've been told, but that is some fancy gold. That's some fancy gold. What a presentation.
You are Mr. Catholic. You are Catholic #1 on our guest roster here. What is your reaction? This is a terrible day and obviously a demonic and spiritual attack against these now young martyrs of the church.
Well, obviously, the first thing we all do is pray, of course. The strange coincidence here, I was on a conference call with a Catholic organization when this news broke. I wasn't following the news. I checked my email, and I got an email through my personal website from a guy, and he said, hey, I'm in Minneapolis. I'm law enforcement, military. There's been a shooting at this Catholic school during Mass, and the shooter was trans and killed himself. He said, can you please talk about this? I did not run with that.
It's like, again, they're in an online death cult. They have far-right extremist ideologies. They obviously were not mentally well. Like, the idea you hear that and you're like, oh, they were trans as the #1 issue, it's purely political. And they were calling to exterminate and eradicate all trans people in America off of this. They said, doesn't matter if you're a kid or an adult, doesn't matter what age, this needs to stop. It's causing all this violence. And it's like, when it comes to violence per demographic group, trans people have a very small, like, it's smaller than straight men, straight white men especially, like pretty much every demographic group. There's no reason to ever think that there's trans people doing random acts of violence for fun. Like, if anything, it's always the white men historically. But they want to blame it on being trans, of course, because if it's their narrative that trans people are mentally ill, disgusting pieces of crap that need to be put in cages.
I don't even mean to say that as though it's a confirmed fact now on your show, because I don't know, and this is before any of this was really being reported. Now you're seeing this start to come out, possible identity of the shooter, possible video of the shooter, possible manifesto of the shooter. I watched what is purportedly the video released by the shooter, and the first reaction is it seems so clearly demonic. The kind of language that's being used, the way that it's being spoken. I'm not one of these people who sees demons hiding under every rock. But if you acknowledge that there's evil in the world, then you have to acknowledge there is a personality to evil, and there's more in heaven.
Is all mental health issue just demonic?
And everything is dreamt up in our philosophies.
Is that demonic?
Some of what has come out of this purported video is a little firing line, like a target with Christ's head on the top of it. Some of it is blasphemous, terrible language. And then, of course, the targeting of a church or a school, not only a school, but a school with mass, not only mass, but a mass full of little kids. If this is not demonic, I don't know what is.
So what you're seeing up on screen is a picture
I get 8K
of
per month
the mass
to do
shooter
this.
in his
Please,
video with a very
8K per
detailed image of the church
Please
and a
send
knife
me money.
over it.
Please send me money.
He intentionally targeted a Catholic church. He intentionally targeted kids at mass. He intentionally targeted young kids that were Catholic and Christian. Michael, I mean,
we knew about
this is an attack on Christianity. The media likely will just kind of glaze over that and make it all about guns. What is your take?
Again, we can't talk about the far-right extremism. We can't talk about it.
Take on this.
Still.
We are in the midst of a spiritual war.
Nice.
Yes,
Spiritual war.
a line that I don't really like using, but is apt, is that it's always the ones you most expect. It's always the ones you most expect. So in this case, Christians are being targeted while they're at prayer, while they're the most innocent people, while they're little kids who don't have personal sin. That in itself is horrifying. But you expect it in the sense that all sin is a turning away from God. All crime, all violations of the moral order are expressing a contempt for God and a self-deification.
President Trump makes healthcare affordable again. His 2017 executive order expanded access to truly affordable group plans to all Americans. But
nice. I'm gonna get my healthcare from Charlie Kirk. Oh my God.
They cut 410.
That's the goal, by the way. The goal is to kill all government programs so that people like Charlie Kirk can make money off of literally everything. Buy the new pill that's getting a larger. It's just
say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church. These are kids that should be learning with their friends. They should be playing on the playground. They should be able to go to school or church in peace without the fear or risk of violence, and their parents should have the same kind of assurance.
Don't just pray, they say, and I get that he's upset.
Don't just pray.
But Brian Krasenstein, a leading Democrat influencer, says, quote, praying is
great. I love, bro, they do this every time where it's like an elected official says something, and then they bring up someone from Twitter to represent the entire Democratic Party. If I did that, if I used Twitter for my barometer, like it would just be like, hey, you know, they all just love Hitler. Because on Twitter, I have a lot of people in my mentions that hate Jewish people. But I would never do that because it's stupid.
It's the problem here, not the solution. People use prayer instead of action. If prayer worked, the house of prayer wouldn't have just experienced this tragedy. That is the modern left. I want you guys to read that, saying that prayer is the problem. By the way, prayer leads you to action, but prayer is not a guarantee of a covering. Prayer is first and foremost an act of worship and an act of contrition to an almighty God that is the author of life. Michael Knowles.
But both statements.
Wait, if that's all praying is to God, then it's like, if you want to keep kids safe, why is it only thoughts and prayers? Prayers to what? Pray to God to give mercy upon us? God.
Or of our anger. But let's just follow their ideas to their conclusion. What they're saying is, don't pray. Prayer is stupid. Let's make fun of these dead Christian kids and their families.
Wait, okay. Yeah, they definitely made fun of the dead Christian kids and their families. Yes, that's what's happening, dude.
For praying, what idiots they are. They shouldn't pray. What's the alternative? Well, the alternative, I think,
they definitely
quite
said
clearly, is that we just need to elect progressive politicians and enact progressive policies, because that's going to lead to progressive action to solve all of these problems and to prevent mass shootings. He's a Democrat mayor. They're in a Democrat state. There's a Democrat governor. They're full of Democrat legislators. They have all of that. How come they didn't fix it? Huh? You know, if the point is that you're wasting all your time praying when instead you should be electing Democrats so that we can implement our wise policies, well, you know what? You all were elected, and you didn't figure it out either. And this is one of the errors of liberalism. You know,
wait, liberalism in general? Okay, people don't know they don't know what liberalism means.
Liberalism says no gods, no kings, only men. We are going to, through our rationality, create a perfect society. We're going to ignore original sin. Original sin is not real. We're going to live in this perfected utopia. That hasn't worked out very well. And the evidence is we live in a largely secular society, an extremely liberal society, a society where we're highly technocratic and we implement all sorts of wonky policies. And guess what? They still haven't extirpated original sin. So what the Christians say is, they recognize rightly, we can't save ourselves. That's an ancient heresy. It's called.
Thank you for $5. A person could commit the same crime wearing a MAGA hat, and they would still try to spin it no shame. Yeah, like they called that MAGA white nationalist terrorist that assassinated that Democratic politician in Minnesota as well. They called that person a Democrat somehow. Yeah, it's really gross. Really gross. And by the way, Democrats try to pass the policies, but like, if you want to talk about guns, you can literally just drive a state over, bro. Like, you live in Maryland, just drive to West Virginia or some shit.
Pelagianism, and it's reified in modernity, in liberalism, but it's not going to work. You're not going to create a utopia here on Earth because we're fallen and we have concupiscence and evil just exists. Okay, so in addition to doing what we can, taking appropriate and prudent political actions, we're going to pray to God because God made us, God sustains us, God is.
Why did God make the evil part?
Being Himself, God saves us if we.
Why did God?
We are to be saved, and so
God saves us if we are to be saved.
we're going to rely on him. The liberals and the moderns and the secularists have no such humility, so they become even angrier, but it's an impotent kind of anger because none of their policies work either.
True.
And let me just say that.
That's why every red state has a lower life expectancy and a higher death rate than blue states, yeah.
If I were to go, I would love to go praying. Praying is one of the highest acts. I mean, these kids should still be alive. I'm not trivializing their death, unlike the Democrats that are spitting on their...
Spitting on their grave, dude. Republicans literally will say that Trump was saved by God to save America, and they don't give a shit about Corey getting shot in the head. Like, they are shameless.
Grave and humiliating their legacy. But Jesus Christ our Lord prayed before he went to the cross. He prayed to the Father. And there is supernatural power in prayer.
Sorry,
it's a mystery as to how
you just saw my yawn.
God dispenses his grace.
Okay, listen to what Charlie Kirk's about to say. I'm going to bed soon. I'm tired. I was just yawning my ass off. Listen to what he's about to say. He's going to say, we pray hard to God. It's a mystery how God decides to distribute his grace. So is there a limited amount of grace? So God put bad things on earth, painful things, evil things for us to endure. Kids praying in church, worshiping God, getting shot in the head. God made the person that did that. God let that happen. God did not intervene at all. And you have to pray to God with all these evils around you. And if you pray hard enough, then God has a limited supply of mercy that he will grant you to take a momentary break away from the trauma and pain. So God purposely puts us in these predicaments, so we beg him for help, and he has a limited amount he can give us, although he's all-powerful, and he could just not give us any suffering at all. It's just a crazy...
Christ our Lord prayed before he went to the cross. He prayed to the Father. And there is supernatural power in prayer. It's a mystery as to how God dispenses his grace.
Supernatural.
But healings happen from prayer, clarity, wisdom, interventions. We don't know when and how God does it because God is the sovereign being overall. But prayer is a real thing. It's not just a chatter to yourself. It's a divine communique to the heavens. And to kind of trivialize it and say, oh, prayer is just you talking to yourself, or prayer is the problem. Well, that is if you do not believe in a personal intercessory God. How are you as a Catholic thinking about this sort of attack against a Catholic church?
How are you as a Catholic?
Should we remember these young kids as martyrs?
Certainly, they're martyrs. I mean, if to be a martyr is to die because someone hates the faith, and so obviously this person is, whether or not the manifestos and the videos are true, it's clear enough from the action that this person was committing a crime against people specifically for believing in Christ. So they certainly are martyrs, and the martyrs go all the way back. Cardinals in the church wear red slippers because they're following in the footsteps of the martyrs, and we believe that the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church, which is soft consolation in a moment like this of such immense and terrible grief. But this is a consistent theme.
Are they going to mention once what was, like, literally on the gun, it was written, we was kangs, which is a way to make fun of black people. We was kangs. It had the N-word on it. It had fart N-word on it. It had a bunch of neo-Nazi phrases. It had 6 million was not enough, referring to Jewish people. It had so much crazy shit on there. And they wrote a whole thing about it. They had online forums. And these terrible dipshits are not going to bring that up once. The ideological motivator behind this is much more complicated than just anti-Christian. That's probably like 5% of it. The real motivator was the online radical groups, the extremist groups that radicalized this person.
The devil knows his enemy, and evil people throughout all of history in all sorts of different political circumstances have attacked the church, and the church remains. And the church not only remains standing, the church advances, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. It's no coincidence, I think. It's no mere coincidence that this horrific attack occurs at the same time that we're seeing all these sorts of headlines about the advance of Christianity in America, specifically Catholicism, but other religious traditions as well. A final turning away from the popular new atheism, the decline in religion. Now you see a hockey stick in adult conversion specifically. So, all the right enemies are horrified by this. And to see the political order tolerate such spiritual evil, but also psychological disorder. This seems to be the culmination of a long period of us pretending that crazy things are normal. And that can have disastrous results, and predictably does.
Michael, why are people going back to church?
People are going back to church because the atheism ran out of steam. That's the first reason. There are like 100 different reasons. But the first reason is, especially for some of your young, hip, cool Zoomer viewers, you don't remember the dog days of Christopher Hitchens and Richard Dawkins and Daniel Dennett, Sam Harris. There was this time in the 2000s when, because of a publishing phenomenon, everyone thought that the atheists were the smart people and the religious people were the dumb people. Never mind that statistically every...
Why is religion coming back? Is it coming back? Are the numbers going back up? I wonder. I'd probably say a lack of community. Like, I go to church largely for community. I don't want to wake up in the morning on Sunday, but it's good to have that community, to be around community. The world's getting a little bit wild. People today are abandoning modern thinking. We're going back to a more primitive state where we reject vaccines. We reject basic facts about America in general, so maybe we're just going backwards on that as well. I'm not really sure. No, but church is a good place for community. It's hard to build one without a church or another central body or whatever. Lacking the third place, that could be a thing as well. Yeah, I mean, that's why I would go. Like, other than that, it's a bar or a casino or another thing to spend money. It's hard to find people who are gonna play volleyball with you or some shit to have fun. Like, actually have fun and chill and have a cookout. Dude, I want to cook out so bad. I want to have a cookout. Please donate to Jolob Politics on Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo. If you have the ability, becoming a patron would be awesome. I was watching today. I looked up my name on Facebook after someone mentioned they saw a video of mine on there. Apparently, I have hundreds of thousands of views on Facebook from other people taking my TikToks and reposting them. So anything that's donated, I'm expanding to Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, maybe Kick and Twitch, streaming at the same time. We're expanding big time rush. So please support the channel. That was crazy as shit when I saw my videos were doing so good on Facebook. So I need to expand to that audience. I really need to. Thank you for watching. Please drop a like, comment, and subscribe. I'm gonna finish. You can join like-minded groups for community. It's harder than it sounds. It's harder than it sounds. All right. In some areas, it's harder. Okay. I'll finish this video and go to bed. I should keep going. I know. There's 500 viewers. We have good numbers tonight, but I need sleep. It's a really busy time for work. I need to deliver packages, which is another reason I'm fundraising. So I don't got to do that as much. But yeah, work right now is extremely busy. So I'll finish this video, but I got to go to bed. I'm going to pass out.
Single intelligent person who's ever lived has believed in God. Never mind that, some random journalist is not actually smarter than Thomas Aquinas, for instance. That's just what it felt like at the time. And the atheism ran its course, and now it's over. And it's over because people got really depressed. As all of this secularism and atheism was advancing, what did you also see? You saw declining happiness for both men and women, especially for women. You saw the skyrocketing rates of antidepressant drugs, also mostly for women, but for men as well. You saw increased depression, including among teenagers. You saw family breakdown. You saw all manner of social disorder.
I need chorus. You're right.
If this is progress, show me regress. If this is enlightenment, give me some darkness. I don't know, because this isn't real. And so people finally faced with the eternal questions again They're saying, all right, well, what have other people thought about this? You know, and I think now we're seeing all the
Sri in chat made a really good ban. So the person said Democrats 2028 make gender politics great again, which is a fine message, but Sri noticed that they posted it like 3 or 4 times and they were spamming it. So Sri deleted those messages. That's good. That's good for a timeout. It's good to time out someone like that who's spamming a message. Good catch, Sri. That'd be a good timeout right there.
Smart people are returning to religion because of at least one basic fact, which is we can know that God exists. And smart people going all the way back to Aristotle and Plato have known
Isaac
for a
Newton.
fact that God exists. And God has a character, and God...
Thank you so much, MP, for another $5. MP said Facebook needs your message. Go for it. Thank you so much. I do think the growth potential on there is good. I'm excited to try it out. I already make the TikToks. All I gotta do is put the TikToks on Facebook.
Reveals himself to us. And if you're curious at all, if you're humble at all, you got to learn more.
And the younger people lived through one of the cruelest social experiments in the history of the world.
Sri sent me another $5. Sri, thank you earlier as well. Thank you, L. I don't know if L's here, but thank you for $5 as well. Thank you.
Which was COVID and lockdowns. But let's ask specifically about Catholicism. Young people are going to the Catholic Church. More Americans are joining the Catholic Church than leaving for the first time in decades. Why is this happening?
An American Pope.
Well, again, I mean, I was kind of making the point about the new atheism, that things had gotten so low that the only way you could go was up. That's a little bit true with Catholicism. Obviously, Catholicism is the biggest religion in the world, a billion Catholics, but still, Catholicism, especially in America, had been kind of weakened. And now you're seeing a return to that. This was predicted not only by the modern mackerel snappers like me, this was actually predicted by Alexis de Tocqueville in Democracy in America, probably the most famous and most incisive analysis of what America looks like. And he predicted that even though America seems like a totally Protestant nation, he said over time, and this is in the 19th century, that Americans were going to trend one of two ways. They were either going to give up religion entirely or they were going to become Catholic. And his reasoning is kind of interesting. He said it's because America is really democratic, lowercase d. And in democratic nations, people have this inclination to throw off all authority and do whatever they want for themselves and believe vox populi, vox dei, the voice of the people is the voice of God. So those guys are going to trend toward atheism. But the ones who don't give up authority, they're going to trend toward a religion that is universal, that is uniform, that makes the same claims of all members everywhere, where there aren't stratas and hierarchies, where it makes a claim.
Catholics go hard. They go hard for real. All right, thank you for watching. Please drop a like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate it. Yeah, Michael Knowles' voice makes me tired. I'm going to bed as well. Thank you for watching. Please drop a like, comment, subscribe. That panel tonight, I know those panels. I've seen those panels, but 13, 14 people is a tough situation. 13 or 14 people is tough. Not gonna lie. You can't really get many thoughts out there. It's challenging. White House giving official warning shot to Trumpers that released the files.
Candidate with even more outrageous claims, suggesting that it's AIPAC or IPAC. I don't even know how it's pronounced. IPAC that is funding this show or other creators. Of course not.
Nice. Rudy Giuliani came back with his car crash vest. The podcast game is heavy right now, bro. Thank you. Thank you, Dirk. I was trying to spice it up a little bit. I would do a full debate with him on that topic, though, or a full conversation with him on that topic. Because I really do think, like, the convo he had with Pisco was very stupid and very bad. And I think I could guide that conversation really well. So, I mean, I would do that, but yeah, it's whatever. I don't care. I really don't care. I mentioned earlier, my growth potential is with regular people on these social media platforms. I'm not really cut out for the internet type shit. Internet debate politics. I'll do it for fun. It's more so for fun. It's a thing we do for fun, okay? We do it for fun. We do it for fun. Thank you for $2. picking up what you're putting down. Thank you. I appreciate that. First time viewer. I'll be back on tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Let's say that tomorrow at 10 p.m. Eastern time. I'll try to do a fuller stream. I'm exhausted. I technically streamed for 4 hours tonight. Well, 3.5. I stood 10 toes. Well, no, I don't like that. Oh no, I don't care. I don't care about them. They don't shame me. They're YouTube Shorts commenters. Their greasy fingers can't harm me. The Professional Cry About It channel. True. And you're here crying in the comments as well. Alright guys. Here's my Patreon again. Again, Patreon is the best place to... Thank you for $2, Em. Thank you so much. I think it was good. I actually was kind of surprised in the panel. Thank you so much for $2. I was kind of surprised. There's not much sharpness. People aren't... I might be sharp. I can't put... I put a lot less time towards this than they do. But I'm kind of sharp with some of the points on certain things. I just need a chance to get more space in it. To have more time to have a full conversation. But there's some people that make points and I'm like, wow, you're really not making that point very well. You'll sub on payday? I appreciate it. My bread and butter, hopefully, is talking to middle-of-the-road, independent people about politics and moving them along slowly and making the world better one step at a time. One step at a time. All right. It was less chaotic than most panels I've seen. Well, largely because no one really disagreed with each other as well, so. Appreciate it. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah. All the other stuff too. I appreciate it. Thank you all the new viewers. I'll be back at 10 tomorrow. 10 p.m. tomorrow. I appreciate it. They're all leftist. Yeah, it was stupid. I was telling RGR, I was trying to find other people to have on the panel, but we couldn't find any soon enough. I wish I could have gone further on the conversation about kicking people out of the left. Do you know how many dumb college kids I know that like Hassan Piker, but they still are going to vote Democrat no matter what because they don't know. Like, they just don't care that he says he's anti-Democrat. Like, it's more complicated than it might seem. Like, and it is funny. The reason I want the full conversation with Destiny is because he had no way to argue other than from the framework of a Hassan Piker chat room or a Hassan Piker comment section. And I called him out a little bit for it, but there wasn't enough time. But it was like, there's some things that are said about tankies and Hassan and Hassan's comments. Someone brought up a tweet saying my entire life mission is to make sure Gavin Newsom loses. I'm like, bro, do you think that's a real freaking opinion that people actually have? It's just like, you guys are so internet poisoned. It's terrible. And Destiny said the thing about like, oh, well, I guarantee I have more in-person experience than you do. Actually, probably not. That's the fun part about me. I'm not like the other girls. I'm not like the other content creators. Actually, I'm probably much more experienced than he is with in-person organizing. Much more. Much more. Oh, thank you, Vandred. This adorable. He thought he got out more than you. Yeah. True. I'm one of the good girls. I understand it though. You're used to talking to online losers, but I'm not. I'm not that guy. My son is audio. Well, it's both ways. And we didn't. Everyone, wait. Tell me if I'm wrong. For people who saw the panel, did no one at all addressed my point about low propensity voters and low information voters being the swing vote? Like, no one engaged with that at all. No, I agree. I agree, Dirk. I agree, Dirk. But the point I brought up a couple times about the low propensity voters, no one really engaged with that much. Like, that's a big point in the whole messaging of the populism or whatever. Like, that's the independent bloc in America. Those are those MAGA voters that I talk to that say, yeah, I'd vote for Bernie Sanders. Those people, those silly geese that watch Theo Vaughn for their political commentary, that's a real political force in America. My old coworkers would say that. Exactly. See, my opinion on that panel was the most real life opinion ever, but it's whatever. We're on the internet. All I can do is spread my wings and fly away, all right? And every dollar you support helps me do that. I'm ready to launch off on Facebook and all these different platforms. I'm sick of hearing people talk. I just got to go do it and be a proof of my own concept, because I'm sick of hearing people say this dumb ass bullshit all the time. Okay, have a good night, guys. I appreciate it. Please drop a like, comment, subscribe again. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you, thank you, thank you. They would have voted for Bernie. They voted for Trump. Populism, yeah. That is funny, though, Vandred. I should have said something about that. Like, that is true. Oh, you think you've been out more than me? Oh, boy. Put some money on it. All right. Appreciate it. See you again. Good night, suckers. True. Thank you for all the support. See you. Goodbye. Good night, guys. 10 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Join Discord. Yeah, join Discord. Wait. Join Discord, guys. Join Discord. Become a patron, join Discord. Those are your jobs here. Discord's free. Join Discord here. Come chat. Now I'm leaving. Good night, guys.